All right, this is a real quick rundown of using getting hard edge surfaces before you start smoothing or other things like that. I mean, you're really gonna use the Z modeler to do most of your generic box modeling, your roughing in stuff, or you're gonna use the Boolean. But let's talk about this. So inside of ZBrush, if I push Control F, you'll see that it shows the polyline fill. And when I make a cylinder to start with, I don't like the cap like this, like Max makes it this way too. So what I usually do is I go to initialize and do some stuff inside of here. But before I can even do that, I've got to make this a Polymesh 3D. So I just click on Polymesh 3D and you'll see this menu change. And what I probably want to do is just do like a cylinder Y so it's facing up and then that. And I could scale it out by just, it's the same tools that we have in the other scale. And then we'll come back to Q. There you go. Okay, so by default, it's going to give me these colors. Basically, these colors are like material IDs. The one way to think about it. So you're not always going to have these, but if you do have these material IDs, or they're called polygroups in here, you go to the geometry menu and you open up the crease channel. You can actually say crease by polygroup, and you see it made these little bitty edges. It's basically making those every edge of the polygroup a hard edge. So now if I push Control D, which is divide, which is subdivision, I get a perfectly hard edge cylinder. The other option is if you don't have, like, if you didn't start with this, first off, we'll just keep going back and the undo's in here and saying, if you don't have it into separate pieces, then all you have to do is, real quick, let me set this up. So now it's all one polygroup. How do you fix that? Well, in ZBrush, you have hide and masking stuff inside of here, but we're going to use the hide tool, which is Shift Control to do a green selection. That's hide. That's selecting what you want to stay, and Shift Control Alt makes disappear. Okay, so if I take this and I go around the top here, it's only going to fully affect what is fully engulfed by the box. I think it's in Max you can do this too, not just the edges. So it looks like it's gone, but if I turn it upside down, you'll see right there is that cap because it was fully engulfed by the selection. So if I push Control W, that's a quick way to change a polygroup of whatever's on the screen. And then if I Control Shift again and click off, I get back to this. And then let's just do this one too. So you can see there's that one. I Control Shift them down. And then I'll click off. Now I have that same kind of polygroup. Actually, I have two polygroups. And if I Control Shift and click, it's going to hide everything but this polygroup now. Or if I Control Shift and drag off of the object, it's going to invert my selection. So if I wanted these to be the same two like they were before, Control W, now they're all one new polygroup. Colors are just their random choices. Okay, so now I've got, these are two different, that's what I mean by random. Here, let me come back in and do it again so we get something a little bit more drastic. Okay, so I've got two polygroups. If I wanted to do that now, again, I just say crease polygroup, and then if I turn off this so we can see it better, I've got a perfectly sharp edge as I divide it up. And now if we come back in here, so what happens if you want something more? So let me do, I'm going to use the Z modeler. I'm going to roll over. The way that Z modeler works is it's contextual depending on where you're rolling over. So this is the poly mesh, the or the poly, and the vertex or the edge. You can pick either one of them, and if you push spacebar, you get the menu for it. So if I push spacebar, I'm going to leave on Q mesh. My Q mesh is default. It's pretty cool. If I click on it and I drag, it's going to pull it out like that. And then if I look, it's actually made three polygroups. I know it's hard to tell, but that's a different green than that one. But let's say I want this to be a polygroup. So what would I do? I would just come in here, do this, and then if you select the color you want to stay, bonk, oops, I'm sorry. Then if you have part of it hidden, if you select the color you don't want to, when you do the Control Shift, you click on the color you want to go away, and it's the opposite. And now you've got that, and then I Control W, and now I have, a bunch of different polygroups like that. And then when I do crease polygroups, and then I do divide, I'll get that nice hard edge all the way across. and rounded towards the bottom. Okie dokie. So that's basically, in a nutshell, how quickly to do your polygroups, to set it up to get your hard edge creasing. There's other tricks and stuff. The way I used to do it in Max is I'd bring in everything. If you bring in stuff from Max in the FBX importer, that's called, I have a video on it if you check my channel, but I call it clowning it. If you take it and you put different colors on each of the different material IDs, not IDs, different colored materials on each of them, and then you say FBX import. If you come to the options, you can say import mats as polygroups. So it imports all your materials as different polygroups. And then I have this already all set up. Sometimes that's easier, sometimes it's not. More intricate stuff, it's sometimes easier to get that. But you know, that's it in a nutshell. I call it clownizing the video. So that's all I have. I'll talk to you later.